Congressman Peter King of New York is the ranking member of the Homeland Security Committee, the ranking Republican, a member of the Intelligence Committee, too. So he's the perfect person to ask about this investigation. Congressman, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jamie.
I really plan to ask you more about this investigation and what authorities might know and where it might be going. But before I do, Dennis Kucinich joined me in the last hour, and I was a bit stunned by something he said. You tell me what you think. We report. Our viewers can take another look at it. He talked about the Patriot Act and the timing of these arrests. Take a listen.
I do question as to why the FBI would release this information right now. They have control of the information. Why release it now on the eve of a reauthorization where Congress has to take action? I don't like that. I don't feel that it's fair.
In a sense, it seemed he was saying that this arrest was timed specifically before Congress considers reauthorizing 3 provisions of the Patriot Act. Did the Patriot Act play a role in gaining the surveillance and the wiretap information that led to these arrests? And is that possible?
Jamie, first of all, the Patriot Act is absolutely essential. It's one of the main lines of defense that we have against al-Qaeda. And as far as Congressman Kucinich, who personally is a friend of mine, but he is entirely wrong here. And what he's saying is really a smear on the good men and women of the FBI, the New York Police Department. This is an ongoing investigation. As the Justice Department said today, it's ongoing, it's fast-paced, and from what I know of it, nothing has been done that was not absolutely necessary. It was important that every step they've taken over the last week was necessary. It was in the national interest. And I can assure you, just the people, for instance, I know in New York, Commissioner Kelly, Joe Demarest, who's head of the FBI in New York, these men would do nothing that in any way would be political. They are there to defend the people of New York, the people of the United States, and that's true of the FBI in Washington and Denver. So it's really, that is such an unfair charge, and especially when we are talking about a very serious case with an ongoing investigation, where there are many moving parts, and it's just wrong for Dennis to be saying that.
Congressman, how serious was this, and how intense was the investigation before the arrests were made? And do you expect more arrests? Are they looking beyond New York and Denver?
Well, you know, if we read the affidavit put out by the FBI today, the affidavits, and also the statement put out by the FBI, it is an ongoing investigation. Obviously, whenever you're talking about someone who's been trained by al-Qaeda, when you're talking about the possibility of explosives equipment, we're talking about something that's very, very serious. But I think the key thing here is that it's ongoing. The arrests were made, but that does not end the investigation by any means. And I believe it's best for the FBI and certainly NYPD, the Joint Terrorism Force, and the FBI here in New York, as the details come out, which fit into the way they are going to present this case and the way they're going to pursue it. But obviously, it's very, very serious. I mean, you wouldn't have had the raids that you had on Monday. You wouldn't have had these arrests made the way they haven't made. You wouldn't have the FBI putting out affidavits detailing as much of the cases they have if it were not serious. On the other hand, they're obviously not going to lay out the entire case, and they have to be careful not to be tipping anyone off as to what they intend to do.
Catherine, and joining us on the phone right now, Congressman Peter King from Long Island. He is a ranking member of the Homeland Security Committee. Congressman King, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
Let's talk about reports of possible bombing sports stadiums in the New York City area. What do you know about this?
Well, actually, I think all of that is up to the FBI and the NYPD to release. I can tell you that there is clear evidence that of bomb-making capability. There's clear evidence that he was involved as far as getting terrorist training overseas. There's certainly clear evidence that the imam in Queens appeared to be acting as a double agent. As far as the other indicators, this is a case that is still being tightly held. I think the Justice Department said yesterday it's very fast-paced, and I don't want to say anything that could tip somebody off as to what the FBI has and doesn't have, other than to say that I think this case is far from over. The investigation is still ongoing, and I think we can expect to see, quite a few more developments.
Congressman, we all know that the information is a little bit sketchy. Even in the Daily News today, the headline is, Feds unsure if they KO'd the plot. So they're not even sure. There are reports they're not even sure they actually thwarted this bomb plot. What do you know about that?
Well, again, it is ongoing. And just by the FBI and Justice Department saying it's ongoing means that it has not been completed yet. They're moving as quickly as they can. They obviously want to get as many people involved as possible. But the fact is, they're not going to know it's over until it's over. The investigation is finished. Right now, the investigation is still going on. The fact that it's still going on indicates that not everything has come out. that they're still looking, and that's really all I can say. Is that this investigation is certainly not over.
Now, as you know, none of these suspects have been charged with any kind of terror-related charges. The New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly explained why they have been charged with other things.
The allegation is that Mr. Zazi lied when he said he had no knowledge of 9 pages of handwritten bomb-making material on his computer. In the complaint, it states that...
Your reaction to what the police commissioner said?
I agree completely with Commissioner Kelly. There is absolute evidence that he had bomb-making information. He lied about that to the federal investigators, and that constituted a federal crime. The reason he was arrested at this time, this is all part of the FBI's process as to when they feel it's important to make the arrest. Obviously, they did not want him back out on the street. They had sufficient grounds to arrest him, and that's why the arrest was made. But there's a real nexus between him and terrorism. The fact is that he went to the training camps, he had the bomb-making information, and he lied about it to the FBI. Then, of course, you have the imam here in Queens, and that is really troubling. You would have a man of God who would be, on the one hand, saying he's cooperating with the New York City Police Department, and on the other hand, tipping off a terrorist suspect. That is really shocking.
Well, the attorney for the imam says that he really thinks that his client is being made a fall guy. Your reaction to what Ron Kuby had to say about his client?
Ron Kuby always makes a good case for his client, but based on what I've seen in the FBI affidavits, to me, there's very strong evidence that the imam did lie, and that's what he's being charged with, and he'll have his day in court. But certainly on the evidence that's been made available, it certainly appears that he was acting in revelation here.
Obviously, there are more people being watched. Do you have any idea how close we are to more arrests?
No, I'm really not. Again, as I said, probably the best description was that it's ongoing and fast-paced. This investigation is very intense. It's a full-court press. And here in New York, we have Commissioner Kelly, we have Joe Demarest, the Joint Terrorism Task Force. It's obviously also being done out of Washington and Denver. This is a full-court press, and because, again, it involves somebody coming in from overseas, there's a lot of dimensions to this, and I think that sometimes people look for too much instant gratification. Like last Monday, when the raids were conducted, they said, well, there was no explosives found. Well, this is not going to be a silver bullet type case. I believe you're going to see more and more coming out, and more being achieved by the law enforcement authorities. But I don't think we can expect to see a dramatic moment at any given time.
Bill, an imam from this mosque is under arrest and charged with tipping off men who may have been plotting to blow up New York City subways. And just because there have been arrests doesn't mean this threat is over. The Associated Press is reporting tonight that counterterrorism officials are warning mass transit systems nationwide, including New York, to be extra careful in case there are other terror cells out there that are active and ready to strike. The FBI believes the plot that Najibullah Zazi was working to unleash was designed to hit multiple targets at once, to kill on a massive scale. And they concede they don't yet know who's still out there.
What we don't know, again, is what's here in the 212 area code.
And it's not hard to figure out what the targets might have been.
It does seem, from what we do know, backpack bombs, hydrogen peroxide-based explosives, that they were looking at soft targets. You know, we worry about transportation hubs, subways, buses.
Indeed, the FBI is reminding mass transit systems nationwide to be vigilant while they continue this investigation. The FBI thought they were getting cooperation from this man, Ahmed Afzali, a Queens imam. But now he's under arrest as well after wiretaps overheard him tipping off Zazi, according to the FBI, that the feds were onto him. His lawyer says Afzali was just trying to get information.
He was doing the very thing that people want people in his position to do. And in exchange for that, he's locked up in a jail cell.
Long Island Congressman Peter King says this is part of a pattern where Muslim clerics hinder terror investigations.
Too many Muslim leaders do not cooperate with law enforcement. Too many imams do not cooperate. And in this case, if it's true, you actually have an imam tipping off a suspect at a time when the imam said he was cooperating with the NYPD and the FBI. It's really disgraceful.